refer to, not the ancient texts, but the ancient traditions, because the Aymara never had a writing system, because they only had oral traditions. Their oral tradition even said that these blocks, they hovered or flew or levitated as if by magic. And I'm not saying that magic in that way exists, because we all know it doesn't. Because, Harry Potter magic is great, on paper or as a fiction story, but as anybody knows, any magician in Hollywood or, at Madison Square Garden, a magician is a magician using a trick. It's technology. There's nobody out there that has, real magical powers, to be able to disappear and stuff like that. And, just like with anything, if a magician tells you to look over here, next time you're at a show, look the other way. Look at his right hand instead of his left hand and stuff like this. And, it'll break the illusion, but it'll show you it's a trick. And so, wherever you have these old stories, that a type of magic was used in order to move something or in order to vanquish an enemy, it wasn't magic. It was technology that we thought, or our ancestors thought, was, some magic stuff. There was a question up here.
Was it Zechariah Sitchin that believed that was a launch site?
Yes, Zechariah Sitchin was one of the first ones to propose that this might have been a launch pad. And personally, I'm on the fence because I have never been there. Baalbek, Lebanon is not necessarily a place that you just want to stroll down the street because you might get shot. But I have colleagues who have been there in the mid-90s, from 96 until 98. It was sort of safe to go there. And unfortunately, you were not able to climb on top here and check out the top platform, because to me, it would be interesting to see if we find any fused glass up there, because if it really was some type of a launch pad for, let's say, a rocket, then the exhaust would have definitely left behind some type of evidence, because you can still today at Cape Kennedy see the pits where the moon rockets took off, and it's fused glass, that the ground was turned into because of the massive amounts of heat that were released upon launch. And then at the same time, we really don't know whether or not, rocketry as we are familiar with was used back then. Maybe it really was just a platform where something landed, like in Star Wars, and it really didn't have, rockets that we're familiar with today. There's a question over there.
So what's your view on, the theories of using anti-gravity to move? Is that considered what you fall under the ideas of magic to move these rocks?
Yeah, the question was whether I subscribe to the idea that some type of an anti-gravity device was used. And while I think that could have been possible, being a skeptic to me is, embracing the anti-gravity idea to me is extremely exotic. But at the same time, we are already in labs recreating anti-gravity, where we are able to levitate, small pieces of some small objects. So we are doing that. And my idea is that if we can do something on a small scale, we can do that at a large scale eventually. How long that will take, who knows? And of course, the whole anti-gravity theory or question, if solved, would also take care of, us being able to travel to other planets in outer space without having to be inside this giant washing machine. This wheel that revolves around its own axis. Your friend next to you?
Have you ever been
have I ever been pressured or threatened to stop what I'm doing? And the answer is a resounding no. See, what nobody believes, and see, there are so many people in this field, some of my colleagues, that have the most lofty of stories that they had police cars in front of their apartments and their phones turned off, their internet turned off because, man, I just got too close to the truth. Well, shut up, you paranoid idiot. No such thing ever happened to you, and it all went on in your head. Because, you know, having worked now on 4 seasons of Ancient Aliens, I can honestly tell you that not once did we receive an anonymous phone call or, you know, Men in Black showed up and said, hey, you can't talk about this. It never happened. And so, to me, you know, it's total nonsense when I hear these stories that, oh yeah, I had to stop because I got too close. Shut up! You know, but at the same time, you know, it's a great story, and unfortunately, there are way too many people who are gullible enough to believe it. And they're like, oh yeah, he was shut down by the government, man. The government doesn't know what's up or what's down. I mean, it's the whole thing with the you know, conspiracy that we never went to the moon. Are you kidding me? We have to remind ourselves that that race happened during the height of the Cold War, with hundreds of spies, of American spies in the Soviet Union, and with hundreds of Soviet spies here in the United States. If we truly never went to the moon, that would have been the first thing that the Soviets would have put on the front page of Pravda. So, I mean, the whole idea that we never went to the moon and things like that, when we have equipment on the moon that we today can pinpoint with a laser, with a high-powered laser, that it's there, I mean, you know, just, yeah, you.
There's a lot of evidence that we see depicted graphically in carvings and things like that, that you know, our ancients saw visitors coming, people in spaceships and things like that. But why do you think that there's no depictions that we see of how they did all these amazing things? You would think that they're seeing these things come down and they want to show about it and tell about it, but then they're moving rocks and doing all this crazy stuff, but there's nothing that we see graphically depicted of that aspect of their visits.
Okay, the question was, we have all these pieces of evidence where on carvings and in statues and paintings we can see what these extraterrestrials might have looked like, and we have oral traditions that describe all these things, that they basically gave us aid in developing or helping us constructing most of these ancient monuments. Oh, and by the way, I at one point during the presentation did say that I think there is one place that was built by extraterrestrials themselves, and that was Pumapunku, just so I'm clear on that, and that you know what I was referring to. And so now the question that was asked was, how come we don't see any depictions of these places actually being built? Like, what type of technology did they use? And here's my answer. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no,
Fair enough.
and I challenge anyone, look, for some reason I belong, and I disagree with that, to, you know, the New Age crowd of, you know, explaining alternative history, and I'm like, bullshit, this has nothing to do with New Age. But what's different in the New Age movement is that there are so many quote-unquote gurus out there, and swamis and teachers and this and that, and you've got thousands of people following them while, you know, they're giving 10, 20, 30% of their income to these people because they claim to have all the answers. I would like to tell you, every single person here, if you ever encounter anyone who claims to have all the answers, run for the hills as fast as you can. Because nobody has all the answers. And after what I've told you tonight, don't just take my word for this. Go home and do your own research. And by that, I don't mean, looking at 3 YouTube clips. That's not research. It involves a little bit more.
Is there any inspiration behind your hair?
Oh, I showed you the cargo cult picture. Now, any inspiration behind the hair? Look, you've seen earlier pictures of me with, quote-unquote normal or more flat hair. And then, season 1 rolled around of Ancient Aliens. And, season 1 was basically shot in 2 days, if you must know, and it just happened to be hair like this, and the thin air, and everybody loved the hair. And why not? If my hair inspires anyone to listen to what I have to say about aliens, wait till you see season 5. So yeah, it's all good, Yes.
So, you're a scientist, and there's no disputing your knowledge on history and stuff like that.
I am not a
Well,
scientist.
that's why I said, what would you describe yourself as? Anthropologist, something like that? Whatever
No,
you're comfortable with. Knowledgeable. Whatever.
Look, a renegade archaeologist. Because, let me just interject real quick, because a lot of people, and of course online and stuff, is like, this guy doesn't even have a degree in archaeology. No shit. I do not have a degree in archaeology, and guess what? I am proud of that. Because the moment that you have a degree in my degree's in communications, because I can't talk, apparently. But the moment you have, a degree in archaeology, then you are beholden to a certain status quo, to a certain way of thinking. And I was just saying this earlier today in the day seminar that we had here earlier, and I'll come back to you for your next question or your observation. The biggest vindication that is going on right now with Ancient Aliens is the fact that when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and I would come to lectures like this by Eric von Daniken, the average age would be 60 or 70. And now, look around you, there's a whole bunch of young, hot people sitting in here. Back in the day, I'm 34, but at the same time, 10, 14, 15 years ago, I was the only quote-unquote young person there. And what's even better or more significant, in my opinion, is that there are actually, and I know there's at least one person in here who just got a degree in anthropology. Now, for someone like that to come to a lecture like this and to be on board with it is huge, because those people are the professors of tomorrow. So 20 years from now, the ancient alien theory will be a part of the curriculum of any university worldwide. So I'm not one for predictions, but that's one prediction I make. So what was your next question?